Once upon a time, a young man seek guidance from the village prophet. He was told his wife would bear the name Juliet. Weeks later, he met 5 extraordinary women, each perfect for him, yet named Juliet. But when the prophet died suddenly, the man must face the misery alone as he tried to bond with each of the Juliets. Juliet the healer, Juliet the storyteller, Juliet the warrior, Juliet the drummer, Juliet the rainmaker. Love is chosen not by name, but by the heart's silent language. Will he uncover the real Juliet before the ancestral spirit demand an answer? Let's dive into the story. The morning air was crispy as Juliet the healer stood by the riverside, collecting fresh herbs. Life returned to normal in Otaku village, but the lingering thought stayed in her mind: forgiveness. Obina watched her from a distance, admiring her unwavering kindness. "What troubles you, my love?" he asked as he approached. "I wonder where Juliet the Treader went," she admitted. "Anger consumed a heart, but forgiveness can heal it." Obinna sighed. Some wounds take time to mend. One evening, a traveler arrived at the village, covered in dogs and in hunger. It was Juliet the Treader. She had lost everything: the wealth she has once chased, the power she has once craved. "I have returned," she whispered to the elders, her voice heavy with regret. The village elders gathered to discuss her fate. Some wanted her bound forever in the village, while others believed in second chance. Let the healer step forward. "Let her stay," she pleaded. "She has suffered enough." Obinna looked at Juliet the Treader. And looked into Juliet the Treader watering eyes. "You will work for the village, restoring what once tried to destroy you." She bowed her head. "I accepted." Juliet the Treader worked so hard, helping the farmer, building homes, and tending to the sick. Under Juliet the healer's guidance, though some villagers still turned to her, time softened their hearts. She had once sought wealth, but now she found something greater purpose. Years passed, and Judith the healer and Obinna welcomed their first child, a daughter named Amara, meaning grace that never fades. The villagers celebrated, and even other Juliets joined in the joy. Each had found their path, yet they all remained connected by faith. Juliet the weaver, now a master of her crafts, created a wedding cloth for Judith the healer, one that will pass down from generation to generation. "This is my gift," she said, presenting the garments weaved by a golden thread, a symbol of love that never breaks, to her. The healer impressed her as she was overwhelmed and joyed. Juliet the dancer, now performed at the king's palace, returned to visit. "Love is a dance. You both have mastered the rhythm," she laughed. But her heart longed for adventure, and soon she left for a distant land. "May the spirit guide you, Obinna, as she wishes them." The farmer found love in a humble hunter named Ekene. "True love is like a land," she told Judith the healer one evening. "You must trade to it daily for it to grow." Her farm flourished, and her home became a place of joy and happiness and laughter. One fateful year, a terrible drought hit the Otaku village. Crops withered, and the river dried up. Fear gripped the people, but Obinna and Juliet the healer remained strong. "Where there is love, there is hope," she reminded him. Together, they led the village in prayer, resilience, and unity. After months of struggling, that cloud finally gathered in the sky. A loud thunderclap shook the earth, and then the first drop of rain fell. Villagers danced with joy, thanking their gods for their mercy. And that moment, Obinna realized love was not just about choosing the right partner, but watering every storm together. To honor their resilience, the elder declared a new tradition, the Festival of Love, a time when the village celebrates unity, forgiveness, and enduring love. Obinna and Juliet the healer sat at the center of its love as a living legend. Years later, Juliet the healer gave birth to a baby boy whom they named Chigozie after the late prophet. "May he carry wisdom in his heart," Obinna whispered as he held his son. Villagers rejoiced, for their love story had now created a new generation. Juliet the weaver, now old, called for Juliet the healer, My time here is ending, she said softly. I have one final gift. She unveiled a tapestry woven with a story of the five Juliets, a tale to be remembered forever. Tears filled Juliet the healer's eyes. Your hand have woven history, she whispered. One by one, the elder who guided them, Papa Jide, Mama Nwaka, and others, passed on, leaving Obinna and Juliet as the new pillar of the village. It is our turn to guide, Obinna said solemnly. In her first years, Judith the trader built a home for orphanage children, making amendment for the past. She found peace, knowing she had finally become a woman she had meant to be. Young couples sought Obinna and Juliet's wisdom. What is the secret of lasting love? They will ask. Judith the healer will smile and say, love is not found in a name or a test, but in the heart that says. Obinna and Juliet's home became a sanctuary of love. Their children and grandchildren fill it with laughter, knowing that their love had built something greater than themselves. Evening, as the moon shone brightly, Juliet took Juliet's hand. Shall we dance, my love? She laughed. We are old, Obinna, but love does not age, he replied. So they danced one last time. That night, Obinna had a dream. He saw Prophet Chigozie smiling. You have done it well, Prophet said. Love has fulfilled his prophecy. Obinna awoke with peace in his heart. Many years passed, and one morning Obinna did not wake. Judith held his hand, whispering, rest on, my love. Our story will never be forgotten. The entire village mourned, but they also celebrated, for a love like their own was rare. Juliet the healer lived on, passing her knowledge to young generation. Before she joined her husband in the afterlife, she wrote a book titled Five Juliet, so no one will forget the lesson of love, patience, and destiny. The legend of Obinna and Five Juliet was heard for centuries. Everyone on Otaku grew up knowing that true love is not in fate alone, but in choices we make and the hearts that stayed beside us. The great bamboo tree were where their love began. Their children and grandchildren gathered every year to celebrate the festival of love. As the wind whispered through the tree, it carries their story, a love that had stood the test of time. The year passed, but the story of Obinna and Juliet never faded. Their love had become a guideline for generations, a tale that parents told their children by the roadside and the fireside. The Festival of Love continued to grow, drawing people from neighboring villages who had heard about the legendary couple. Under the great bamboo tree, elders counted their story, weaving lesson and patience, forgiveness, and the power of true companionship onto each telling. Children and grandchildren carried on their legacy, ensuring that their home remained in a piece of warmth, wisdom, and welcoming. Amara, the elder daughter, became a healer like her mother, training to treat healers with a gentle hand and a kind heart. Chigozie, named after the late prophet, grew into a respected leader, known for his fairness and a wisdom. One day, a traveler from a distant land arrived on Otako village. He had heard of the village where love was honored all above, and where forgiveness healed wounds, and where a great love story had sharpened the destiny of the entire people. He sat at the great bamboo tree, listening as the elder shares the tale of Obinna and Five Juliets. As the wind rustled the leaves, the traveler closes his eyes, feeling the weight of the story settled in his heart. He had come to search of wisdom, and he had found it in the echo of the love, and had stood to the test of the time. Before he left, he knelt by the river bank where Judith the healer had once gathered the herbs. He whispered a prayer of gratitude and then disappeared in the horizon, carrying the story with him to a distant land. And so the legend of Obinna and the five Judith spread far beyond Otako, carried by the wind, the river, and the heart of those who believe in love. Then, no matter how many years pass, their names were never forgotten. For in every whispered bedtime story and every dance beneath the moon and every choice made in the name of love, Obinna and Judith live on. Their love had become an eternal one. Obinna and Judith had long passed. Their legacy continued to shape the Otako village. The Festival of Love remained the most caring tradition, growing genders with each passing year. People from far and wide traveled to witness the celebration of unity, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love. Evening, as the festival fire burned brighter, Amarana, an elder one, stood before the gathering crowd. Her younger face, once youthful face, was now lined with age, but her spirit remained strong. She carried the secret book her mother had written, The Five Juliet, and held it high. Story is not just about my parents, she declared. It is about all of us. It is a lesson that love is not found in faith alone, but in the choices we make, in the kindness we give, and in the patience we show. Crowd murmured in agreement. Many of them had grown up hearing of Obinna and Judith's love, but now seeing their children and grandchildren still honoring their memories, they realizes that true love never failed and true love never died. It simply take a new form. Among the villagers stood a young woman named Adana. She had always dreamt of love like Obinna and Judith, but fear she could never find one. As she listened to Amara speak, something within her heart stirred. That night, under the great bamboo tree, Adana met a kind-hearted man named Kelechi. They spoke of their dreams of family and love and withstanding with time. And as the moon bathed them in a silver light, she realized that the spirit of Obinna and Judith live on, not just in the story, but every heart willing to love selflessly. Days passed. During the festival of love, Adana and Kelechi were wedded, where Obinna and Judith had once danced. The villagers rejoiced, knowing that another chapter of love had begun, and so the cycle continued. Generations pass, but the lessons of love, patience, and forgiveness remain at the heart of Otako village. Every child grow up knowing that love was not in the name or in a destiny alone, but in the heart, in the action, and in unwavering commitment to stand by another side and through every trials. One day, an old storyteller, his voice cracked with age, sat by the riverside and told the story one more. Audience was children with bright eyes and elders with knowing smile. They listened and they paid attention and he told the story. And so on. He finished, his voice a whisper against the wind. Obina and Judith's love was not just for them alone, it was for all of us. And as long as we remember, as long as we love truly, their story will never die. Children rejoiced and clapped, the elders laughed and nodded their head, and the wind carried the story one more, through the tree, over the river, beyond the horizon. For the true love, like where trended, never fades. It only burns brighter. Years turn into centuries, yet the story of Obinna and Judith remained in the heart of Uteko village. Their tale had become more than just history. It was a legend, a lesson, a guidance, light for every generation that followed. Festival of Love stood the tallest of time, bringing people together under the same bamboo tree where Obinna and Judith had once danced. Many villagers came from a distant land to listen to the story, hoping to find the same wisdom that had sharpened Otako destiny. Among the visitors was a young man named Ikenna, a traveler who had heard of the tale in his hometown. Far beyond the great river, he had wandered for years, searching for something he could not name. When he arrived in Otako village, the villagers welcomed him with open arms. On the night of the festival, he sat at the bamboo tree as the elders told him the legendary story of Obinna and the five Judith. The elders speak. Ikenna felt something shifted deeply within him. The tale was not just about choosing a partner, it was about understanding love, sacrifice, and patience to find what is truly meant for you. That night, he dreamed of a prophet Chigozie, the same man who had once guided Obinna. In the dream, the prophet stands. His voice was calm but firm. Love is not fate alone, the prophet said. It is a choice you make in the heart that stays, in the hand that builds, and in the soul that has the forgiving. Ikenna woke up with a new purpose. He has spent his life searching for love in a fairyland, not realizing that love was not something to be found, but something to be built. As the year passed, Ikenna settled in Otako village, learning from the elders, embracing the wisdom of the past. He married a woman named Nena. Together, they carried on a legacy of love, patience, and forgiveness. Their children, like those before them, grew up hearing the tale. Their children, like those before them, grew up hearing the tale of Obina and Judith, knowing that love was not just a single moment, but a journey, a commitment, a story that never truly ends. The great bamboo tree now became the ancient and wise, stood as a witness to time, and so the wind continued to carry the tale of Obina and Judith beyond Otako, beyond the river, and beyond the mountain, onto the heart of all who believe in power of love. As long as there were hearts willing to love, as long as there were voices willing to tell the story, the legend will never fade. It will live on forever. And so time marched on, yet the tale of Obina and Judith never faded became more than just a story. It became a lesson, a tradition, and way of life. Patients told their children, elder pass it down to younger generation. The bamboo tree stood tall, its root deep in the soil of history, its leaves whispering the wind. Every year, during the festival of love, the villagers gathered in a shade, not just a remembrance of Obina and Judith, but the celebration of eternal truth, their love and theirs. The love is not just about faith, but about choice. The love is not about perfection, but about patience. The love is not just a moment, but for a lifetime. And so, under the watchful eyes of the star, the story continues to be told. As long as there were hearts willing to love, as long as there were voices willing to speak of their names, the legend of Obina and Judith will never die. It will live on forever. Powerful lessons from the story of Obina and the five Juliets. Love is a choice, not just a fate. When the prophecy guided Obina, he ultimately had to choose the right Juliet through patience, understanding, and deep connection. Love is not just a destiny, it is about decision we make every day. True love takes time and effort. Obina's journey with the five Juliets showed that love is not immediately. It requires time to understand, test, and grow. Rushing into love without truly knowing the person can lead to mistake. This is the end of our story. Please like and share. Thank you.